Dhamma Talks by Mogok Sayadaw, the 19th of November. 1960. Worldly Fetters and Realization. Vaka Brahman asked the Buddha the following questions. 1. Is there anyone without giving up the worldly attachment can realize Nibbāna? 2. Is there anyone without giving up the worldly attachment can reach good rebirth? 3. Any ajivaka, or ajivika, ever been realized Nibbāna? 4. Any ajivaka ever been reached good rebirth? Ajivakas were people reject the law of Kamma. The Buddha's answers to these were 1. Negative answer, 2. Positive answer, 3. Negative answer, 4. Negative answer, but only one person. Sayadaw gave a clear explanation to these Q&A. He said someone is at the time of practicing already giving up worldly things. Therefore, people in family life by regular practice can realize Nibbāna, e.g., Sunlun's Sayadaw was a very good example in modern time. For Ajivakas they had Niyata Micca Ditthi fixed in destiny because of this wrong view or Akariyavada, doctrine of non-action. So the Buddha with his psychic power looking back 91 kappas, Buddhist eon have never seen that any Ajivaka realized Nibbāna and reached good rebirths. But the Buddha only saw one Ajivaka reached Sugati, good rebirth, and this man was he himself and at that time believed in Kamma. MN.71 Tevijavikchasatam. Vaka said that people believed that the Buddha knew everything every moment even during sleep. The Buddha replied that it was people misinterpreted him. Later Buddhists also misinterpret him in many things. He only knew by reflection. Sayadaw explained Vipassanā process and said that the Buddha mentioned only 3 insight knowledges. These are 1. Udayabbhaya Ñāṇa, knowledge of rise and fall, 2. Nibbāna, knowledge of disenchantment, 3. Magga Ñāṇa, path knowledge. Path knowledge is discarding the khandhas and Taṇhā. For example, Sotapatti Magga Ñāṇa, the path knowledge of stream enter is discarding the 5 khandhas to painful rebirths, hell, ghost and animal, and the craving to identify view, Sakkaya Ditthi, doubt, Vicikiccha and adherence to rites and ceremonies, Salabhataparamasa. The Buddha automatically knew everything was not true. He knew only by thinking. Sleep was with the life continuum of the mind, Bhavanga Chitta, and how could he knew it? He was a triple knowledge, Tevijja, person. These are, Pabbenivasa Avina direct knowledge of past lives. If he was thinking people past lives and knew all of them, he also knew what would happen to them in the future. This was Dibbakaku Avina direct knowledge of divine I. And also had the knowledge of destruction of the taints Asavakaya Ñāṇa. With this knowledge he also could teach people for the destruction of the taints. This was the most important knowledge of the all. Sayadaw gave some examples of the king Suddhodana and Santati minister for their attainments of Nibbāna living in the family life. The fetter, samyojana of affection to one's body is greater than the fetter of wealth and family members. The time of practice is the time of discarding the fetter temporary. So the one who practices will realize the Dhamma, whereas no realization without practice. If you know how to insert the knowledge between the dependent arising processes at any time, then you are discarding the fetters. During the practice if any kilesa comes in, then it will take time, and without coming in become quicker. So don't blame on the perfection, parami. In Petakapadesa Pali, for ordinary disciples, Pakati Savakas, they will realize the Dhamma if they complete with these 2 factors. 1. Listening to the Sakka Dhamma and 2. Wise attention. If you end up at other people's sayings can be miss the chances. This is terrible. A person without contemplation and the fetters are always happening. By contemplation and it doesn't. If you are still discerning only mind and feeling, then these are lower level of knowledge. Not seeing mind and feeling instead anicca means higher level of knowledge. Not discerning the 3 characteristics is still in the lower level. Seeing rise and fall will arrive to the higher level of knowledge, arriving to its intrinsic nature, sabhava. If you are still seeing the khandhas, i.e., form, feeling, mind, etc., still not complete, because the Buddha said that the 5 khandhas are anicca. In the Satipatthana Sutta Pali said that have to know the mind, feeling, etc., but not asked to contemplate these things. It was mentioned in the beginning. The Buddha wanted us to contemplate their anicca. It was mentioned in the end. Contemplation of feeling means remind us the object and without it don't know what to do. The real contemplation is the arising and passing away of them. To know that after arising is not there. Seeing impermanence is yathabhuta gnana, the knowledge of the way as it really is. Both of the Pali passages are right. The reason why the Buddha taught about the lower level of knowledge was to let us know the object of contemplation. Is it to show the objects of contemplation, to see them or to discern their impermanence? Only by discerning impermanence that the reality and the knowing become fit together, i.e., yathabhuta gnana. Here the Burmese words for the reality and the knowing fit together means you are discerning what really exist. But usually we see what really not exist. Arriving to the higher level of knowledge, then wrong view falls off. If you discern impermanence, continue to contemplate. After some time will become disenchantment, but still in the 5 factors of the path. Before you see the impermanence and now become disenchantment. These 2 knowledges are quite different. If you ask why they are different, the answer is kilesa becoming thinner. Don't reduce your effort and contemplate with perseverance. The knowledge will rise up again as these are not worthy to have. This is the penetration to the knowledge of function, kika gnana. The object of contemplation, mind and feeling, etc., disappear. It's the right knowing of the truth of dukkha. The khandhas related to the ditthi kilesa, defilement of wrong view, disappear. It becomes khandha nirodho nibbānam. The ceasing of the khandha is Nibbāna. Ditthi kilesa disappears by not arising. The khandha disappears from the existing. Khandha nirodho and the 4 apaya nirodho cease together. Opening parenthesis. Here, by destroying the defilement of wrong view, that present khandha ceases and at the same time the future 4 painful rebirths are totally ceased. The 3 insight knowledges of seeing impermanence, disenchantment and the ending of the khandha are teaching by every Buddha in the past and the future to come. This talk could have an interpretation problem for some to Satipatthana. To know both of the arising and passing away, in the beginning of the practice one may be not able to discern impermanent, whereas he can discern it with strong sati and samadhi later. Dhamma talks by Mogok Sayadaw, the 23rd of November. 1960. Volition, action and Kammic formation. Here, Sayadaw gave a talk on Satāṇa, volition, action, Kamma, and Sankhara, Kammic formation. It was an interesting talk and explained their meanings and their connection in the Pali Suttas and Abhidhamma. These words are important for Buddhists to know them. Sankhara has 4 meanings. 1. Formation. 2. Mental formation, i.e., the 4th aggregate. 3. Kammic formation. 4. Prompting. The Sankhara here in this talk was no. 3. Kammic formation, or in the 12 links of dependent arising avijja pakaya sankhara, ignorance condition Kammic formation. The Buddha with his pubbenivasa avina direct knowledge of past lives was looking backwards to find the beginning of a living being, even maybe his own. But he would never reach the end of his past lives because samsara, round of existence, was too long for every living being, but he could find the causes of their origin. It was avijja, ignorance, and taṇhā, craving. Sayadaw said all the khandhas are conditioning craving and not only feeling, Vedanā, but feeling is the nearest cause for craving. Satāṇa volition or stimulation is Kamma, action. 2 kinds of Satāṇa, create Kamma and not create Kamma. Pure Satāṇa is not create Kamma, just only Satāṇa. By Vattas, round of existence, Vata Satāṇa create existence, and Vivata Satāṇa not create existence. All arahants, their actions are pure Taṇhā and not Kamma. If giving the result, it's Kamma. In the dependent arising of 12 links, Sankhara is past Kamma and Kamma Bhava is present Kamma. In our many past lives we had created many Sankhara Kamma, i.e., good, bad or mixed Kamma, which are always waiting for the chance to give the result. Kamma Bhava is two ways. If we have a teacher who can teach dependent co-arising and Vipassanā practice, then we will not create Kamma Bhava. If not, we create Kamma all the times. We can observe our minds at Vijnana or Vedanā or Taṇhā or Upadanā. See the 12 links of D.A. In this way stop creating Kamma. In past lives, because of avidya and Taṇhā, ignorance is like father and craving is mother. We had created many Kammas which were Sankhara. It will follow up in samsara until our last lives as arahants. We can see these results in the suttas and in daily life of all human beings. As an example of Ven. Moggallana's life, he was severely beaten by bandits because of one of his heavy kammas on his past life by killing his own mother. Sayadaw continued to explain that people can take Kamma with wrong view by telling the Mahapunama Sutta. In the Abhana Sutta, the daily 5 recollections, from Anguttara Nikaya, and 5.57 Abhanapakavekatabhathanasuttam, the Buddha taught to rely on Kamma as a conventional truth or samatha practice, Kaganusati. The path of Kamma is within the round of 31 realms and the path of knowledge, Ñāṇa, transcends it. Kammic way is in samsara and Ñāṇa way is transcend samsara or towards Nibbāna. For Vivata Dana, generosity to transcend dukkha, the Buddha mentioned Dana with Vipassanā, in the Anguttara, and 7.52 Dhanamahapolasuttam. In the Abhidhamma of Dhammasingani, we can see 3 types of Dhamma. 1. Akaya-gamino Dhamma, 2. Apachaya-gamino Dhamma, 3. Navachaya-gamino na-apachaya-gamino Dhamma. The first is Dhamma leading to birth and death, i.e., all wholesome and unwholesome Dhammas. The second is not leading to birth and death, i.e., the Noble Eightfold Path. The third is neither 1 nor 2, i.e., the Buddha and Arahants. These 3 Dhamma can be found in the Khandas. Closing square bracket. The seed of volition, Taṇhā, is called action, Kamma. Without the seed is just volition. The past action is Sankhara and the present is Kamma Bhava. Functional Kamma is Kriya Kamma, just only function which were done by the Buddha and Arahants. The Kamma not give the result is regarding as pure Taṇhā. Some Kamma Bhava give the results and some are not. Can contemplate up to clinging, Upadanā, not create Kamma and no result. In the Satipatthana Sutta of contemplation of the mind, the Buddha asked to contemplate when greed arose. But from craving to become clinging may be a little difficult. Sankhara Kamma always gives the result. Without the ignorance ceases, then the Sankhara not ceases. The Sankhara not ceases always connect the Khandha process. By meeting spiritual friend, Kalyana Mitta, can stop the Kamma Bhava. Buddha and Arahants are only Khandhas. Others are clinging Khandha, Upadana Khandha. A person without any clinging is just only Khandha and with clinging is Upadana Khandha. There are many types of Khandha, past and present Khandhas etc. Take the Kamma as mine is Atta Ditthi, self-view, or Kammavadi Atta Ditthi. Permanence, Nikka, is self, Atta, and both of them are the same. The Buddha taught that, Sabbe Dhamma Anatta, all Dhammas, including Nibbāna, are not self. Therefore, how can Kamma becomes Atta self? Including Nibbāna is not self. Some Buddhists described or took Nibbāna as like Atta in some books and teachings, i.e., go against the Buddha's teachings. Taught about Kamma in the Suttanta method is for people who want Nibbāna slowly. But, now who want Nibbāna have to cut off Kamma by doing Vipassanā. Any realm of existences is the power of Kammic energy. Cutting off Kamma is the power of knowledge. Every dana done by seeing dukkha sakka does not continue the round of existence, samsara. Sayadaw taught his disciples how to perform a vivata dana which support to transcend dukkha. Most people done it with the desire, lobha taṇhā, for the support of round of becoming. There were a few talks by him for this purpose before, and after a great offering, such as Kathina ceremonies, for meditation hall, sangha dwellings etc. He first talked about dukkha sakka from the mother's womb to old age. Sickness and death, about burning with the 11 fires of human life etc. At first, contemplate and see the impermanence of the khandha, and then make a resolution by wanting to free from the vata dukkha, round of dukkha existence. This dana is done by the knowledge of truth, sakka gnāna. The most superior dana is enriching by Vipassanā, anguttara. The dana for changing prison is not good and also not encouraged. Whatever prison you are in, changing prison is only prison. In the same way, whatever existence you are in, changing dukkha is only dukkha. At last Sayadaw used the Sammaditthi Sutta, MN 9 or MNI 46, from the Majjhima Nikaya to explain the two types of worldling. 1. Worldlings outside the sasana. Believe in Kamma, sa kammasakata sama ditthi. By itself alone not realize Nibbāna. 2. Worldlings inside the sasana. Believe in Kamma also and get the knowledge of impermanence, so can realize Nibbāna. Dhamma talks by Mogok Sayadaw, the 25th of November. 1960. Seeing one's own death is Vipassanā. Sayadaw gave a meditation instruction here. The language he used was unusual. He said when the observing mind and mental states arose, we could see the disappearing or anicca. A mind born and it dies, and then another mind arises again and dies again. Two minds and two mental states can't arise together at the same time. So when a mind arises we observe and it's not there anymore. When the observing mind comes in, it dies already. At that moment we are alive with the observing mind, magga. When another mind arises, the observing mind also disappears. So there is no observer, only the observed. Vipassanā is seeing the death with the living mind. If you could see the death with the living mind, then the Buddha had arisen. Without it no Buddha arose, then it becomes the path of ignorance, condition, Kammic formation. So what really make the mind and body process on and on? Sayadaw sometimes in some of his talks mentioned about the hell beings suffer in hell. They die instantly and born again instantly on and on until their kammas are finishing for the hell. Some Fetters never had a drop of water to drink for their thirsty. They lived for a very long period of times between each Buddha. They continued to survive by food of Kamma, Kammahara. Mind is the creator because it creates Kamma. Even before the being dies, the results are starting to materialize. There was a sutta about Nandya Upasaka. Because of his good kammas, celestial mansions were starting to appear in the Tavatimsa heaven even before he died. One time Vedanā Moggallana visited there and found out some beautiful mansions with celestial nymphs were waiting for someone to arrive there. They requested Vedanā Moggallana to send the message for Nandya Upasaka, DHP 219-220, DHA.IE.290FF, VV. PTS, number 862. There was a remarkable parallel in a modern-day story. This time not with the outside objects but with the materialization of a human embryo by the Kammic energy. This was in Ajahn Mun's biography about an elderly nun. See Ajahn Mun biography, The Legacy, PGS 416-418. Human dukkha can't be compared to the dukkha of the hells and hungry ghosts. By reaching the Sotapatti Magga, the knowledge of stream entry, dukkha only left for 7 drops of water, compare with the whole drops of water in a huge lake, a cubic lake which is 50 by 50 by 50 yojanas each side with full of water. 1 yojana equals 8 or 13 miles, from Sakka Samyutta. Therefore, you all have to put full force energy for practice. Only by practice to get the Vipassanā Magga, insight knowledge, that you'll get the supramundane knowledge, Lokuttara Magga. Vipassanā knowledge is the cause and supramundane knowledge is the result. It mentioned in the Susima Sutta, Vipassanā knowledge is seeing the impermanence and supramundane knowledge is seeing the ending of the impermanence or impermanent process. Therefore, only you can see the impermanence, then you can see the end of it. By killing the kilesa worms with insight knowledge and you get the light of supramundane knowledge. Seeing one's own khandha is Vipassanā knowledge. When the first mind is arising and you are alive with the first mind. If the second mind arises, the first mind dies away and you are alive with the second mind again. You have to know in this way. Therefore, contemplation of one's own death is Vipassanā. Discerning one's own death is Vipassanā. We don't see the numerous momentary arising deaths that craving, Taṇhā, arises, and wants to become human beings or heavenly beings. By not seeing one's own death, and ignorance, craving, clinging and action continue. In this way dukkha machine is going on and on. People are alive without knowing is like a blind man walking along the way. Seeing the death is going on the right path and without it on the wrong path. How to see one's own death is the best way of seeing. Don't see it in the way of fright. Seeing it as a stranger, then it's equal to the word of prato, Burmese, stranger or alien, Pali, parajana. You cannot stop it happens, so looking at it as a stranger. In this way is no fear and fright. This is also seeing it as not self, anatta. In this way of seeing and Vipassanā knowledge is becoming mature and developing. And then become don't want to associate or living with the stranger. It makes samadaya Taṇhā in the heart becomes thinner. By knowing it as not mine, wrong view and doubt fall away. Strangers are not coming anymore, and free from the dead ones. And then not seeing one's own death anymore is Nibbāna. This is Nibbāna element. Sayadaw continued the Susima story. Practice with the insight knowledge beforehand and then will follow by the path knowledge. Vipassanā Ñāṇa right pointing arrow Magga Ñāṇa. In most of the suttas the Buddha taught about 3 knowledges, but here in Susima Sutta mentioned these 2 knowledges.